Thank you very much. Thank you for Infocom for the invitation. From the hard hota, you can guess I'm Spanish. So I don't speak a word of Greek, even though my father was a Latin and Greek, classic Greek professor in Spain a long time ago. So there is not a single day without 5G making the headlines, and maybe sometimes for the wrong reasons. So in the country of mythology, I would like to debunk some of these myths. I would like also to finish for a call for action for the ICT sector in Greece, because as we put on the slide, we think 5G is a race Greece cannot afford to lose compared to other countries. So 5G is a reality. This is not something radically new. By the way, we launched 5G in April in Korea, and then with the Verizon in the States. Then a couple of weeks later, we moved to the heart of Europe with the Swisscom. And all in all, we are supporting more than 23 live 5G networks from UK to Romania to Spain or to Italy, for example. You can buy a 5G connection today, for example, for just £25 in the UK. So this is today a reality. But for people who have been working like you and me and are veterans here in the ICT sector, there's some kind of déjà vu. And I would like to share with you a worrying picture here. These are the latest 5G spectrum auctions in Europe. And if you look at the picture, there are two countries which are above the others for the bad reasons, because they design very poor auction processes. So the government, they capture 6 billion euros in each country. But as we know very well, spectrum fees, higher spectrum fees, correlates very well with lower coverage and lower quality of mobile services. And as the CEO of Deutsche Telekom put it in a very nice way, we can only spend once 1 year. And he suggests to spend it on coverage and improve the situation. So the question I will try to answer later on is, what's the role that the Greek ICT sector wants to play here? Do we want to monetize via spectrum fees 5G, or we want to improve coverage and exploit some of the potential of 5G? Then a second message, and here from the States, when we look at 5G campaigns in the United States, they are pretty aggressive. And we have telcos blaming and accusing one another of 5 false claims, for example, and confusing customers. Because, for example, AT&T, they sell what they call 5G evolution, and you have an icon on your smartphone. And by the way, this is neither 5G nor evolution. This is just pure 4G on steroids. So we should avoid some of the mistakes that we've done, for example, 20 years ago with the ADSL, when we tried to sell ISDN services, pretending that it was a broadband, and it wasn't. So now let's go to debunk some of these myths. So I'm going to talk about the short-term benefits for customers. I'm going to talk about how 4G consumption patterns does not help us to explain how people will behave with 5G. We think that there are premium use cases and there is money to be captured with the 5G. Also, verticals and industries, and we have great examples, for example, in Germany, are not just testing 5G, but they are adopting 5G to support their business models. And then also the government can play a very relevant role to adopt 5G technology to support public services. We will see some examples. So this is one of the examples that I bring here. And by the way, instead of talking about Korea, I will bring some examples close to my heart, but also close to the realities here in Greece. We've done, together with Telefonica and the municipality of a small town southern of Madrid, one of the 5G theater experiences. So together with Telefonica, we designed a truly immersive experience, because the challenge in Spain is how we could bring to young audiences our cultural heritage, because we have some masterpieces of the classical theater.
Remember the excitement of watching something for the first time? Feel it again. The whole potential of 5G technology and mixed reality come together for the first time in history to reinvent theater as we know it.
Imagine the audience in the middle of the stage with the actors around you.
The Spanish literature's masterpiece, La Celestina by Fernando de Rojas, into an immersive and unique show which will premiere in Talavera de la Reina. Rediscover the excitement of watching something for the first time.
So imagine here in the country, I will try to say it properly, Euripides, Sophocles, or Aeschylus, if we could bring the very unique cultural legacy of the Greek culture, not just to young audiences, but for example to tourists, I think 5G could bring truly immersive experiences. On consumption patterns, this is Korea. And by the way, there are already 4 million of people enjoying 5G in Korea. These are not just early adopters or nerd people. These are people like you and me, 4 million in a country of around 44 million people. So about 10% of the total population. People moving from 4G to 5G are multiplying by a factor of 3 their daily consumption from 400 megabytes to 1.3 gigabytes. And by the way, 25% on the 5G network is augmented reality and virtual reality, 25%. People enjoying 5G today in Korea, they have reduced almost by 40% the time they spend on a Wi-Fi connection. The quality of the connectivity with 5G is so good that people prefer to use 5G in their homes or offices instead of using free Wi-Fi. And by the way, according to the forecast of the industry, about 80% of the total population will have 5G by 2025, and that will allow telcos to increase revenue per user, one of the concerns that we've seen before. But 5G is not just about high-tech industries like manufacturing or automotive. For example, in the Netherlands, they are deploying 5G to change the future of farming. So you will see the video now because the farmer here, he will send a drone. The drone will capture some high-resolution images. They will transmit the images to a tractor, and with a very high precision and in real time, the tractor will drop a dose of herbicide or fertilizer, reducing the cost for the farmer by a factor of 50%.
Akkerbouw zal er in de toekomst heel anders uitzien dan we nu gewend zijn. De mogelijkheden van 5G en real-time dataverwerking zullen leiden tot een revolutie in de agrarische sector.
Dan zouden we zelfs autonome robots aan kunnen gaan sturen die echt maatwerk gaan doen voor elke plant.
Door de gesteldheid van de akkers over een langere periode in
Takes
kaart te
images
brengen,
in very high
creëren de drones
resolution
een
in real
uniek
time.
dataprofiel.
So it can detect with a resolution of just 5 square centimeters, where you have to drop a dose of herbicide or fertilizer.
Die vervolgens weer door landbouwwerktuigen gelezen kan worden om te
Imagine the
bepalen wat er
impact
moet gebeuren.
on the bottom line of the farmer.
Daardoor kun je heel vroeg ingrijpen en bijsturen.
Op die manier kan heel gericht onkruid bestreden worden, in plaats van domweg een hele akker te besproeien met bestrijdingsmiddelen.
Om echt gebruik te maken van de mogelijkheden van 5G is samenwerking met onderzoeksinstellingen heel belangrijk. En daarvoor werk ik graag samen met TNO.
TNO zorgt ervoor dat de benodigde rekencapaciteit beschikbaar
Really
is
impressive.
en optimaal wordt afgestemd op de specifieke situatie, zodat data ter plekke real-time gebruikt kan
So
worden.
these guys, at the end of the day, will be more like engineers than just farmers deploying that kind of technology. But also governments can play a role adopting 5G technology. And here I bring a case that we developed together with Altis, a telco operator in Portugal, together with the police, with the emergency services, because these guys know very well what latency means. If you arrive late to a car crash, for example, people can die. For them, 5G can support the backbone to support critical communications. So we deploy an end-to-end 5G network to showcase how we could coordinate all these people, ambulances, police, and even the vest of the firemen, because the vest had some sensors, so we could monitor in real time these firemen. Together with the drones, ambulances, firefighter trucks, even the vest. And these guys, again, they know very well how critical communications can be for an accident, a fire in the forest, or anything like that. So these are the possibilities. And what's the situation for Greece? So we have, I think, lights and shadows from left to right. We are already testing 5G. And by the way, Greece is doing a fantastic job in getting support from the European Union. So we have trials in Athens, Trikala, Kalmata, with the different players, Cosmote, Vodafone, and Wind. And also Greece is part of some of the most significant 5G projects today in Europe. For example, the 5G corridors between Serbia, Bulgaria, and Greece, and also 5G MOBIX between Turkey and Greece, and 20 others projects. But then we talk about metric, which I know is not that popular. Last week I was in Portugal delivering also a keynote, and everybody hates to talk about the digital economy society index. And the reality is that today Greece is above Bulgaria and Romania, which is good. My concern is that Romania has already deployed 5G, and Bulgaria pretends to do that next year, making available a spectrum, by the way, in, I think, very good conditions. And in that event last week, one of the CEOs of the telcos, of the 3 telcos in Portugal, he said something very worrying for Portugal as a country, because maybe factories in Portugal could move, multinationals could move their factories out of Portugal to Romania to benefit from 5G. So be aware of this. We have a few ideas. So together with my colleagues here in Greece, we painted where we think we could deploy some interesting use cases, from predictive maintenance, for example, for utilities, immersive tourism, and Greece is maybe one of the big powers in the world to attract tourists, so we could provide a truly immersive experience across the country. Also, in agriculture and livestock management, Industry 4.0 for manufacturing, for example, to control robots remotely thanks to 5G, because Wi-Fi and 4G doesn't work, and we cannot always connect a robot with fiber. For advanced mining, retail, and logistics, and why not fishery management, for example. These are today concrete use cases being deployed across the world. And we've shared some numbers before. We've done also some numbers. We've worked with a top management consulting company called Arthur De Little, so we developed a top-down model, and it's not a forecast, our addressable market for 5G, for industry digitalization first in Greece by 2030 could amount around $12 billion US dollars, and out of these $12 billion US dollars, almost 40% could be enabled by 5G. Again, this is not a forecast, this is an ambition. And for that, we need some preconditions. One, and the most important one, is spectrum. We need to have spectrum available as soon as possible and in the right pricing conditions. So it means that we have to look, for example, at what France is doing to allocate spectrum and try to avoid the mistakes in Italy and Germany. Then we need governments to help telcos deploy infrastructure. And we have some concerns in some countries like Spain and Italy, but we have good examples from the States and the UK. And then once spectrum is made available at a reasonable price, then telcos will have the certainty to deploy 5G networks, because we firmly believe that we can manage risks as an industry, but we cannot manage uncertainty. Again, this is an ambition, not a forecast. So, summing up. First, 5G is a game changer. 5G is not another 4G, it's another G. It will provide truly innovative services thanks to ultra-high bandwidth, very low latency, very high reliability of the network, etc. Then, for consumers, it's not about just having a better pricing plan in terms of cost per gigabyte that you can use on your, with your data plan. It's about new innovative services based on augmented reality, mixed reality, and so gaming, for example, is a very hot use case today in countries like Korea, and soon, I expect, in Europe. Also, 5G represents a very tremendous opportunity for verticals and industries. And the proof point is that the government of Chancellor Merkel has bet on 5G to support their country project Industry 4.0. So we had last year in our booth the Chancellor testing 5G technology for the Siemens, the Bosch, the Volkswagens, and these kind of companies. And then we, as Ericsson, as an European player, as #1 in terms of 5G patents, essential 5G patents, we are ready to support the ICT ecosystem here. And I invite you to join us if you want to discuss some details later on. Thank you very much.